right, good evening and welcome. This is the June 15th, 2023 meeting of Friends of Wheeling, a tour. We are in First English Lutheran Church, and we will be able to tour the rest of the building, but we'll do the background and that sort of information here where we're all together. A few announcements first. Part 2 of our Old House Seminar will be on Wednesday, June the 28th at Way Memorial Church, 27 Maryland Street on the island. This is a session where, okay, I own an old house. Now what do I do? What should I do to maintain it? And I need specialized repair because of the house. Who around here can do it? Those are the kinds of things we'll be talking about. So again, it's on, if you're on our mailing list, it was on the newsletter that went out. I'll send out an email reminder, a few days before. That's free and open to the public. Anybody can come, whether they're members or not. On that same day, that is 10 o'clock on Wednesday, June 28th, one of our AmeriCorps members, Julie Lash, is going to do a children's program at the library. It's part of the series on careers and people who are in perhaps unusual careers. So she's going to talk about old houses, and she's going to read This Little House, which is a book by Virginia Lee Burton, and then there'll be some historic house coloring activity for little kids. So if you have children, none of you here are old enough to have grandchildren, but if you have children,
this quit. It was going to quit. It's okay.
So that should be interesting. A couple other things. Greenwood Cemetery Tour, Sunday, September the 24th, and we'll be sending something out later that you might want to mark the calendars. We don't know who we're going to do yet. We just haven't had time with the First Presbyterian tour coming before that, but that would be something. And then we just heard for yesterday or so that our friend Michael Kelly, who is the county clerk, has been elected or voted as the best county clerk in all of West Virginia. And of course, we agree. He is the one who has made sure that we can get the deed records in Ohio County all the way back to the beginning online. And also maps of parcels that are tax sale parcels, and some of his ideas have been adapted in other parts of the state, so I'm sure that's one reason why he has gotten that honor. So if you see Michael Kelly, give him a pat on the back. All right, I also have with me membership cards, so if you're not a member of Friends of Wheeling and would like to join us, we will make sure that you get notices of upcoming events. We try to do something at least once a month. Last month we had a Stone Church Cemetery workshop. It was very successful, and we marked with American flags the grave sites of more than 125 veterans in Stone Church Cemetery. There are quite a few Civil War veterans there, and we put special marks on those graves. So here we are at the First English Lutheran Church. It was originally established as a November of 1868. The church was completed and dedicated in 1870 in December. The congregation grew quickly, and in 1879 an addition was constructed. First English as it stands now was a complete rebuild. Beginning in 1897, the congregation was determined to remodel the church building. It was finished and dedicated on January 12th of 1898. It is an impressive Richardsonian Romanesque façade, cut stone, grand stained glass windows, slate-covered steeple, bright red ornamental rooftop pinnacles. The chancel, which we'll see in a little bit, was modernized in the Akron plan, and I haven't been there yet, so we'll see if it's still the case, in which pews of the nave form horseshoe shape around the central rotunda. This design was popular in the U.S. in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The total cost for rebuilding and refurnishing this church was less than $15,000. Of course, that was in 1898. In 1927, at a cost of approximately $21,000, there were extensive improvements made, and a two-manual Mahler pipe organ was replaced with a three-manual pipe organ. In 1940, a special note burning service was held, celebrating all indebtedness liquidated. So that was only 13 years after the major refurbishing. Further renovations begun in 1957 were finished in 1960, coinciding with the congregation's 100th anniversary, and those renovations cost approximately $100,000. In 1988, the brick facing on the north and south walls was completed, and in 1999, major renovations totaling nearly $1 million were done. In addition to making the church handicap accessible, major interior and exterior restoration work took place. While I'm on that note, if anyone needs an elevator, I'm told there is an elevator.
It's right there.
Okay, thank you.
And we just had it checked, and it's ready to go.
That's good to know.
One of the first things I did.
The stone exterior was cleaned, repointed, and sealed, and the new roof was installed. The old oak pews in the nave were restored to an original finish, which had previously been stained black. A sky mural with fluffy clouds was added inside the sanctuary area. The following year, in 2000, preservation work was completed on the church's stained glass. The windows were created by German immigrants, employees of the von Richardsonian Company of Columbus, and originally installed in 1899. They feature visual symbols of Christian faith and include 5 figure windows depicting Martin Luther and the 4 evangelists standing above their Christian symbols. Matthew with a winged man, Mark is depicted with a lion, Luke with an ox, and John with an eagle. Restored by Renaissance Glassworks of Murray, Pennsylvania, while craftsmen took measures to repair and save as much of the original windows as possible, much of the glass had to be replicated and replaced due to improper firing at the time of the window's creation and because of unsuitable prior repairs. It was noted that the Martin Luther window was literally put back together again. So, poor Martin. I will say that these notes were written by Aaron Rothenbuehler. A few years ago, there was a brochure created by Aaron and Sean Duffy at the library on historic churches in Wheeling, and this was part of that effort. So we thank Aaron, and we do have her permission to use her work, and we will post it online along with Joanne's pictures. So, you know, this church has now been sold, and Melissa Adams will tell us what's coming down the pipe for this church.
It's not working, so she took it from me. Yours isn't either.
Mine's not either.
Just so you know.
All right.
When you turned your head, it lost then, so we pulled it.
Okay.
Well, welcome.
Does this work? No, not at all. Okay, well then I guess there's no need to talk into it.
Well, I'm loud, so you should be able to hear me. If not, I apologize. But my name is Melissa Adams, and this is the new home for the Light Hub. The Light Hub is a nonprofit that was formed by the City of Wheeling and myself and Joyce Wolin, the Executive Director of Wheeling Housing Authority. When I first took my position at the guys followed any of that. It was kind of a controversial position that was created. Council really had to fight it out, and I'm just so grateful and blessed that I'm here. This is not what I thought was going to be happening a year and a half later. I can honestly tell you that. But, so what had happened was that I went and met with all the agencies that work with the homeless population. I asked them where the gaps were and what would be best to help them to further their mission or further their agencies. And the Life Hub was created and formed from what they were requesting that they needed to help with the homeless population.
And what position is that?
My position at the City of Wheeling is the Wheeling City Homeless Liaison.
Thank you. I just wanted to
Sure.
make sure you got that.
Yeah.
Not that now.
Here at the Life Hub, I would be the executive director. So I'm kind of wearing two hats, one paycheck, so that's I'm going to just be honest. Because I know that a lot of people were curious. This church was not purchased with any of the city dollars. That was something that was raised and funded by donors who I am very incredibly graciously happy and overwhelmed and elated about. Everything that the Life Hub does and will do moving forward will not be city dollars. It will be ran as a nonprofit with the overhead and the oversight of Mr. Heron, our city manager, who is my board president for the Life Hub. So we looked for some buildings to purchase. We looked at a lot of different buildings. And of course, this is hard. I completely understand that homelessness and what it is doing to our city right now is a very hot topic. I have been working really hard with getting our areas cleaned up, creating new rules, new laws, new ordinances. No one's allowed on our trails anymore, so please start using our trails again. No one's allowed under our bridges, under our underpasses, on our creek beds, on our river beds, anything like that. I have one camp left on our riverbed that I'm working on to get moved and relocated. So I've worked really hard on doing all of those kind of things because this is my town. And I love this place, and I want what's best, but I also have a heart and passion to help those who are in need. How I got started in this job, not this job per se, but working with homelessness, is that I started volunteering, helping with street moms, like 5 years ago now, and from that, my love and my passion grew because I saw we started a little group called Blossoms that meets at Laughlin Chapel. It was 8 women that met, and it was me, my daughter, my mom, Susan Rossman, and we started this group, and just by investing in those women's lives, putting little gifts in their heart, being there for them for the hard things, and it wasn't easy because there's a lot of really ugly stuff. I mean, drugs are bad. Mental health, the masking and using drugs, all those things are really hard, but I'm happy to say that all 8 of those women are now housed, have jobs, some are managers at the jobs that they now have worked their way up. And it literally was just a matter of investing in them, equipping them with the tools that they needed, providing goals, holding them accountable. And with that, that is my goal here as the homeless liaison and also as the executive director of the Life Hub. Just a little tidbit on the structure of this church. All of you love history and the historical aspect of everything. To ease all of your minds, we are absolutely not changing the structure of this church. We're not going to gut it. We're not going to mess with the sanctuary. The sanctuary will still be a sanctuary. Another thing that's separate, this is my husband, Jim Adams, who was a pastor for 20-some years. We started a church for homelessness. For homeless, we have approximately 65 to 70 individuals that attend church. So this is a great place for them to now have their own building, their own place to come, and they like that. I mean, it gives them something. It's somebody that they read about that makes them feel good when they leave and know it's there for them. So that's not my City of Wheeling hat, and it will not be something that we profess or they have to do or anything like that. But this building, our goal for this building and this particular room where you're sitting in right now, Dr. Bill Mercer has partnered with me with the Life Hub. One of the things, I worked in the medical field for years before. When I left the medical field, one of the things that we had when we would discharge people from hospitals, if you are homeless, you cannot go to nursing homes because there's this thing called you have to have a safe discharge. Releasing somebody into the streets after they've had open heart surgery is not a safe discharge either. So this area that you're standing in right now will be a medical respite, a skilled nursing for people who are released from the hospital to be able to come and get the skilled nursing care that they need so that they're not having that in a tent. So that will be what was in this room. But again, we're not going to touch any of the things. We'll make it work the way that it is. So that is what we plan on doing here. There will also be counseling for both trauma, counseling, those types of things. We are going to partner with many organizations for drug rehabilitation. That's another issue that I have. I have many people that will come to me, and they all call me Miss Melissa. And they'll be like, Miss Melissa, I am ready to get clean. Oh my gosh, that's great. Made my first phone call, 6-month waiting list. And that is not even just local. But if you partner and you sign a contract with these agencies to where they have to hold beds for us, that person walks through the door, we meet with them immediately, they tell us that, and we can get them into there immediately. That's a huge problem. 6 months from now, when you're living on the streets and you're waiting 6 months, it's very, very rarely are they ready to do it again. So you got to hit them right then and there to get them the help they need. Because most of our people who struggle with drug addiction, which it is very prevalent, their struggle with that is due to the fact that they're masking their mental health issues, whether it be schizophrenia or anything like that, unmedicated. So we will also be providing with Dr. Bill Mercer those types of things, but also getting them ready to be able to go to places like HealthRight for the family care that they need for the general practitioner. So those are just some of the things. In the parking lot is where we are building a 4-story addition, which you will drive into. It'll still be parking underneath, and then on each floor there will be different things. So there will be a shelter that will be open 24 hours a day, but they won't be hanging out in their beds all day. They also will not be able to do their drugs over there. There will be security, there will be working, and that's the great thing about me working with the city. I'm also working with closely, I'm actually a homeless liaison officer, so I work closely with the police, and we will have police presence here just the same as we had with the winter shelter. The city of Wheeling, Life Hub, Wheeling Housing ran the shelter for the very first time this year for 3 months. Last year, as you know, a lot of you may know that the shelter was ran out of the old hospital, not East Ohio, but OEMC hospital. This year, we successfully hired 8 employees who were trained in de-escalation, trained in Narcan, trained whatever training that I can get them to make sure that, yes, the people are being cared for, but on the same token that we can eliminate some of the problems that I had the year previous, not when I was running it. It was still being ran by another agency. But I would wake up every morning, check my email, and I would have 8 police reports sent to me that they had been called to the shelter. I'm happy to say that in the 3 months that was in one day. I mean, one night. Just lots of things. And it's not that John Moses was the former CEO of YSS. He is also on my team. So I'm not knocking on him. If anything, it's just that wasn't what they're for. YSS has used social services. They were filling a need, filling a gap in the best way that they can. So I'm not putting it down. I'm very grateful for everything that they did for the years. But with having that, so the shelter there, I had 3 calls the entire 3 months. Sadly, they were overdoses, and I beat myself up on the very first one that I got. I was so frustrated because it was like two and a half. It was like right towards it was right, like 2 months into it. And I'm thinking we had 1 month left, and I was going to be able to say we didn't have any calls. Thankfully, I had the staff trained. The gentleman lived, and he was able to see another day to seek recovery. And that right there was something that I had to say to myself. I'm so thankful and grateful for that yes, it happened, but we were also able to get the person the help that they needed and offer that. So when that happened, we had a mobile unit from Northwood, because we're partnering with Northwood, who came immediately and offered them the care that they needed. All 3 individuals who overdosed lived because the staff was trained to be able to save their lives. So that, I think, is very commendable. It's not what I wanted to have happen, but I had no domestics. I had no brandishings. I had none of those things because we were fully staffed and the staff was fully trained. So that is how the Life Hub will be ran. In the building also we will have, we'll have the shelter where in the day there will be doing programs. They will be doing things like learning life skills, learning how to be housed. With Joyce, one of the issues that we have, Joyce is the executive director of Wheeling Housing Authority, and she's standing right there, kind of hiding back there. One of the things, like, I can get people housed all day. That's what people say. I write out, help them fill out their applications, and I get them housed. Next thing you know, I'm getting a phone call from Joyce. Sorry, we have to kick this person out, not only that, they're banned. And you know what they're being banned for? Because they're knocking on the door in the middle of the night asking someone for sugar. They do not understand. Most of our homeless individuals, the misnomer is that they're being busted here. I'm sorry to tell you that they are not. On our registration, when you all walked into the shelter, one of the questions was asked is, where are you from? Where did your homelessness originate from? And it was all from Ohio County, but 15 individuals. And we served over 325 unduplicated people this past winter through those 3 months, and all of them are from Ohio County. And over 85% of them had aged out of the foster care system here in our town. Foster care kids are moved and moved and moved and moved. They suffer trauma for whatever got them there, for the reason that they were there. And they carry that. I mean, as we all know, a lot of us have probably suffered some sort of trauma in our life. But if you don't have that support system, and it's not that these places, our children's homes are great places, they're doing their best. But sadly, that was one of the things that we had happen here, is the aging out of the foster care system. And when you turn 18, we have a few couple transitional living houses, and outside of that, they're on their own. I have two daughters who are now both over the age of 18, and I can tell you that when they were 18, there is no way they were ready to fully be able to be on their own, and they had good parents and a good support system. One of the other main things that we're going to help here is families. You would be so incredibly surprised that the majority of the people that I help are not those who are intense. It is single mothers who are living paycheck to paycheck, who have to get their car fixed, or something major has happened where they weren't able to go to work and they're by themselves and they come up and they're being evicted. They don't have the support system that they need, or their family can't give them the finances that they need, and they find themselves in a predicament that's going to bring them homeless. The Life Hub right now is, with the money that we received in the donations, we have been able to help so far, just in the last 2 weeks, 4 families to be able to maintain in their homes where they are by hitting it with prevention. Prevention to stop before homelessness happens is the key to making sure that that doesn't happen. Because what would have happened is those kids can't be homeless. They can't be on the street. They can't be in the tent. And women would have lost her children. And then you find yourself in the, you know what I mean? Like, how do you, I'm a mom. I'm sure a lot of you are. You get your kids taken away from something that is out of your hands, out of your circumstances. You're going to fall down a rabbit hole and not know how to get out. So we will have transitional living for families, not just for mothers, but we have fathers too. Just last week, I had a dad. Yesterday I had a young guy who just got full custody of his son and now wants to get his own apartment. He has a job, he works full time, but he needed $250 to make it work. And we were able to help them with that. So those are the things that we are doing. We are helping those individuals to maintain their housing, and we are also helping those individuals to get into housing and to be successful in being housed, so that they're not banned from Wheeling housing. So we'll get them housed and have caseworkers within the Wheeling Housing Authority. The Life Hub will have caseworkers that will work on those issues that they're having where they are in housing already. But at the same token, before they go into housing, we will be working on those things here. You can't knock on the door at 2 o'clock in the morning and ask for sugar. It's not like when you're at your tent. Or the fact that you didn't know you could do that because you never really had a house to go to. That was like how to wash your dishes, to shower, to wash your clothes. You have to understand, coming out of the foster care system, most of these people have never learned how to do anything. Cook, clean, any of those kind of things. So we will be teaching them those life skill classes and offering them things that they need to help them to be productive members of society. Am I sure that that is going to work for every single person? Absolutely not. Do I 100% agree that we have a problem here in Wheeling with homelessness? Absolutely. But I know from those 8 young women that I worked with, and it was 8, that all 8 of them are doing well. They're not perfect. They still have things. They still reach out to me for things. But they are doing well, and they are productive members, and they are contributing to our city. And I believe that we have that opportunity here with the Life Hub, with the city of Wheeling, and that the importance of, and this is a question that I get all the time, is that something something that the city of Wheeling has ever done before. How does that fit into your charter? How does that fit into your ordinances? No, this is new. This is something that's completely never been done in the city of Wheeling before, and for that matter, with talking with Mansion, with talking with a gentleman named Joe Savage who works in Washington, D.C., who's in charge of all homeless initiatives across the country in some form or the other, because he's the federal government, never has a city and a housing authority ever partnered together to help the homeless. So we're in talks and works with Senator Manchin and Jim Justice, and all of them are so excited to see how this works that they're wanting to use this as a pilot program for our whole entire state. This is similar to the one that you might have heard about in Pittsburgh, because we took a lot of things from that, but it is not exactly the same. That one up there, the land was given by the city, but it is separately ran nonprofit. The reason why we want this to be worked with Wheeling Housing Authority and with the city of Wheeling is that there's accountability. I love all of these agencies. All of them will have a place here. All of them I work with and I work with well. But there's something to be said, even though it can be very hard, especially if you have to go in front of council, which I do all the time, and ask for something or tell them something. It can be hard and it can be challenging, but at the same token, there's accountability to what I'm doing here and how this is being ran to make sure that it is being run the way that I, one, have said that it was supposed to be, and two, in a way that works with the city so that I'm not mismanaging, spending money, enabling, purchasing. I don't buy tents. The Life Hub does not purchase tents. The Life Hub's mission statement is to house. We are here to fill the gaps. Lots of people provide tents, but the Life Hub does not provide tents. So I will still be doing my city duties. I will still be doing this for some time until it's very effective and up and running. But I have great hopes and aspirations. We will leave this beautiful building, and when you see the sanctuary, if you haven't seen it yet, you will completely understand by what I meant that what a great place for them to be able to walk into and to sit and to reflect however they choose, whether it be with Jesus or whoever they want to be with, but just to have a sense of peace. Living under an underpass, there's nothing peaceful about that, I can promise you that. The noise from that is just deafening. Having to protect everything that you have while you're in a tent and not being able to sleep is very, very hard and very, very challenging. So we are going to provide that for them here, and we are super excited, and we can't wait to see what would happen. And as I said, I promise you this building will remain the same because I absolutely love it, and I hope that you do too. So thank you very much.
All right, so just a housekeeping thing in case you've been standing or waiting a little bit. We're going to get the tour going here in a minute, but there are restrooms on this floor as well as restrooms in the basement, but there are not restrooms on the second floor when we go upstairs. So the elevator's back here. Again, thanks for listening to my wife, who's obviously very passionate. One of the things that I picked up on this is that this was established as a missionary station in 1859. It sounds like to me, after listening to that this will continue as a missionary station in the city of Wheeling, to which I'm grateful for. I also want to recognize that we have parishioners here, that this has been their fellowship, this has been their church, and we would be remiss to not take a moment and say thank you for allowing us, one, to give the tour today, but to pass the baton to the Life Hub as they continue the mission that this church began in 1859. So thank you. Many of you said hello when you came in, but I want to say thank you. Yeah.
Okay, I think we will probably move upstairs.
Oh, there's bathrooms downstairs. That was what he was supposed to tell you.
Yeah.
I think we'll go upstairs now and see the sanctuary, and then I understand that they have prepared some light refreshments for us in the lower level. Don't go down there first and take all the refreshments. Yes,
Nick, I just want to make a comment. Maybe somebody would mention the second minister, the first one couldn't come back because of the Civil War. He was stuck. And so he came, and he's actually the founder of the Children's Home also.
Wow. Wonderful. Thank you.
thank you. All right, let's go see.
Let's go take a look.
Oh,
Who am I following? Am I following you or her?
Who does she follow?
Let's follow me and let's go see what we can find.
Just stay close to her.
All right, and we'll walk out
I'm here
this door.
too. I'm sticking with her. Yeah, that
And I
might
think the stairs must be this way.
There's a set of back ones back here, it looks like.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Oh, there's steps out there, Jean. To the left. Go ahead.
This is
Oh, look. Show them the craft room.
very nice.
Kraft.
It's pretty.
Very pretty. All right, and I think we go that way. And take a picture of this as well, the craft room. I wonder if this was Mr. Kraft, who was part of Clevis and Kraft.
Because it's not C-R-A-F-T.
Right. So that's interesting. We'll have to, I don't know, we'll have to figure that out. And I'll let you go first, and we'll go up the steps, and we'll see the sanctuary. Nice broad steps here.
Pausing for stained glass at the top.
Nice.
Pausing here to do a swing of the stained glass.
Okay, we have Ten Commandments, Bible, Samuel Bacon Barnett's. All right.
It's not going to look that much bigger to me because I'm not that much.
Elevator. And there are stained glass windows on this side.
Hey, Gene, was it a few years ago, did this group try years ago like this?
Excuse me.
Then it can make some noise. Excuse me.
I'm going to go past you.
Yes, beautiful pulpit. Uh-huh. And the
Somebody's
kind
knock.
of
Somebody's knock.
semicircular.
Somebody's knocking at the door.
And look at the sky up above. And a tin ceiling. So,
Gee, you said this is the Akron plan?
the Akron plan.
That's what Akron is the first one to do.
I don't know. But Akron like the town.
Piece of sculpture.
Yes, it is.
Okay, now I'm going to go and catch the other organ. Or the organ. Those were the pipes.
It's interesting that there's German when this is the English Lutheran Church. See the German? Yeah, but they would have gone to the German Lutheran Church, not the English Lutheran Church. If you were German, you wouldn't necessarily have gone here, but look at the German in the...
Is it because he spoke it in German originally?
I don't know. That must be Martin Luther.
Yeah, I can't say I'm being Catholic.
Yeah, well...
But I'm Catholic, so
He's the one who had to be put back together apparently, the stained glass.
They did a good job.
Oops,
They did a very
balcony.
good job. And the tin ceiling, isn't it gorgeous?
Yes.
And then the sky in the middle. Yeah. The inner city churches, when the population moved out,
Right.
it's been tough to maintain.
Now it's interesting in Cleveland, a lot of times what happened was the
In Cleveland, you're saying?
yeah, they would usually the whole church would move to the suburban area.
Okay.
So they would.
Well, what would happen to the building, though? That's
They
the
would
issue.
sell it.
Yeah.
So, and usually a lot of African American congregation would
Yeah.
build.
Well, the Blue Church, that happened. Well, the Blue Church still stayed downtown
Right.
because it was St.
Right.
Matthew's. But yeah, wow.
But they hung on here for a long time.
And that was Jerry Riley giving us an editorial since we're on recording.
All right, so welcome. Welcome again to our tour, and we're glad you could join us this evening. My name is Jean Finstein with Friends of Wheeling, and behind the camera is Wendy Elswick. Thank you very much, Wendy. Our photographer, Joanne Sullivan, who's also our treasurer, is taking still photos, and they will be posted on the Facebook page for Friends of Wheeling. So, thanks again for joining us, and hope you